What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Two Nick Chicks. I'm your host, Lady and the Chef, joined by my other co-hosts.
D Blocks 21, what's up?
It's a rough one today. It's a new day. It's actually a nice Sunday today. But I think that with the Liberty playing round one at home at Barclays, and the Liberty were unable to close out that game, it just wasn't a good look. I think that was a harsh loss. It was very triggering from last year in the finals. And yeah, it was just painful to watch. But it's lots to unpack from that game. The Liberty lost in overtime to Minnesota. It just wasn't a good game. Second half wise, I thought the first half, the Liberty, even though they got outscored the second, third, and fourth quarter,
And overtime.
Liberty, yeah, the Liberty were and overtime. The Liberty were able to maintain the lead for the most part, but for some reason, the second half of the game, the Liberty went away from what was working for them. So I actually want to share and let's unpack overtime in that game. Let's get into it. This was actually a slow start.
Resuscitation. Looking
So
in. Collier 8 to shoot. Draws 2. Out to Smith. Williams a 3. You bet!
Courtney Williams has played in finals before, has made shots like this.
Ionescu's floater is good. Back to one possession. Williams, 8 to shoot. Williams weaving and laying. Courtney Williams with 23.
And yes, the shots are tough, but so are the finishes. Here, Jonquel Jones trying to get a fingertip.
Bebish hits the floor. And a steal. Ionescu banks it in.
Steal here. Courtney Williams gets the board. And then just wants to quickly outlet it. And Sabrina just timed it up beautifully. Reads the eyes, reads the ball, reads the rim.
It's been a tough night. Carlton to trigger in. Finding Smith. Jones comes up with the steal. Jones ties it. 90.
now I'm gonna pause it right there because that's where the Liberty should have taken advantage right there, right? So let's rewind before we even got to the overtime because we could have won the game. Brianna Stewart had the ball at the free throw line. She makes the first, misses the second. You and I was recapping and talking about this game, and when you said it, I thought about it live while we were watching the game. I felt like Stewie kind of shot the free throws a little too fast. And Stewie's a pretty good free throw shooter, but for me, I feel a lot more comfortable with Sabrina shooting free throws, even though she's missed crucial free throws before in games as well. But I thought, to me, if Stewie would have knocked down that free throw, we would have been up by one, and our chances of winning would have been higher than losing that game. We could have sealed it right there. But now you get Courtney Williams, who gets fouled. Sabrina Ionescu fouls her on the three-point line. She knocks down the three, hits the free throw shot. So now they go up by, what was that, 2? I believe it was. They were up by 2. Now, Jonquel, we fast forward to overtime. The first few minutes out of the first 3 minutes, no one really did anything on the Liberty or Minnesota, But the Liberty should have capitalized and been aggressive in the overtime from the jump. Even if they were up by 6, 7 points, that would have helped them to at least get some kind of leverage and points, a separation in overtime, and nothing was happening. Now you saw there where Courtney Williams on the links tries to throw that pass. Sabrina was able to get it, make the shot. Jonquel Jones started off the trend with the three. Then Courtney Williams makes that pass. Sabrina was able to get the pass, get the layup. Then Jonquel Jones stole the ball, which we just saw, which was a nice steal. She was able to get the layup. But once again, I didn't like the defense on Courtney Williams. She was really their bread and butter and was the one who won that game. It wasn't necessarily Nafisa Collier, who had a pretty good game. Kayla McBride had a quiet, good game as well, considering she struggled against Connecticut Suns. Nafisa Collier finished with 21 points, 8 rebounds. Alana Smith had 9 points, 9 rebounds. Kayla McBride had a quiet 22 points. Courtney Williams had 23 points, 5 assists, 5 rebounds. And Natisha Heidemann, who also, for some reason, no one could guard her, finished with 10 points. When you think about this game, first of all, this game was very triggering in that it was reminiscent of what happened last year against the Aces. This is literally how it happened. And let's also state the fact that the Liberty were up by 18 points. They were up by 18 points. Now, I just went for a morning walk to get my coffee, and I was listening to the local W. Shout out to them. It's a bunch of sports journalists who they get to go inside practices and they ask the players. They do practice interview questions, and they were talking, asking Sabrina about, you know, how did she feel rewatching a film of that game? And Sabrina pretty much said, she said, no, it was heartbreaking. She said, because we had so many opportunities to win that game and she said, we got too comfortable. We let our foot up off the gas. But for you, when you watch that, replay that game in your mind, what were the things for you that you felt like made the shift and that the Liberty lost that game?
Just what Sabrina said. They took their foot off the gas. Like you outscored them in the first quarter. What was it, 32
32.
to 19 or something like
Uh-huh.
that?
Mm-hmm.
So right there, the comfortability level set in
Right.
because it was like, okay, we got this. As a professional, game it's playing basketball is all about runs.
Right.
And if you don't sustain that run and keep that momentum up 40 minutes, you're not going to win. Or now, like the Liberty, they're playing a uphill battle. Now we got to, sort of like you go into panic mode, and now you rushing your shots because that's what they did. So it's like you got to play defense the whole 40 minutes. If that's your bread and butter, then get right with that. So, like she said, they took the plain and simple, amongst other things, but that was the catalyst. That was the main thing. They took their foot off the gas, and for whatever reason, they got comfortable. This loss don't fall on one person because it was five people on that floor at any given moment. So it was collectively a team loss. And regardless of who did what and who got a double, eh,
You still lost.
yeah,
Yeah.
a loss is a loss, no matter what. So, and I could tell you when I called you Friday, I said, man, I said this just opened up like an old wound because I put last year's loss behind me, and they did too. But for them to lose that game one, it was like it opened up a wound, and it was like so triggering. It's like I I didn't sleep well at night. I'm telling you, I Thursday night I did not because I'm like, man, they could have won. They could, the
Yeah.
coulda, woulda, shouldas, and all that played in my head. So if it affected me as a fan, and the millions of fans, so I could just imagine how it affected them. So I'm gonna put my feelings aside, and but again, they took their foot off the gas. No, what we coulda, shoulda, woulda. But guess what? Now you gotta do this, come today, and you got to still one in Minnesota, or hell, take them both, and just quiet that noise and say, okay, we got this. And I'm gonna bring a analogy, but I'll do that later on. But yeah, that was my thing. It was their defense is what lost amongst many things this game.
Yeah, I think it's so triggering because it's the way and the fashion and how they lost. It wasn't just that the fact that they lost in overtime. It was the fact that the Liberty had that game. And I've said this repeatedly. When we've played Minnesota, who's been our only problem team for some reason that the Liberty can't figure out how to beat, the Liberty, for some reason, they I tell you, they remind me so much of the Knicks. They settle for threes and jumpers. They don't play good perimeter defense at times. And then they have times where they could play excellent defense and they'll allow teams to get turnovers because of shot clock violations they have. And they were doing that on
Yeah,
Thursday's game. Minnesota had nowhere to go. How many times did we see Courtney Williams, whoever had the ball, and Nafisa Kalia? They couldn't go anywhere. But we went away from what was working, which is something that the Knicks do as well. Like, why would you steer away from what's working? But I think the one person you and I were saying is so crucial that she plays very well in this game was Jonquel Jones. And Jonquel Jones did her job. She finished with 24 points and 10 rebounds. She had a really good game. And the thing that kills me is when you watch that game, we went away from what was working in that we stopped getting Jonquel Jones the ball down low under in the paint because Minnesota's not a tall team. So you should be going with that every time down and allow her to get fouled. I know what you and I, we was on a phone at the end of the game and we both was like, why is Jonquel Jones at the top of the key? Now, granted, we know she could hit the 3-point shot. I just don't like her there as much. I think she needs to be underneath the basket, ready to get the either the rebound, get the pass, whatever. But I agree with you 100%. The defense was the issue, and that the Liberty didn't play good, solid defense. Natisha Heidemann comes in as a sub for Courtney Williams. She's running right past Courtney Vandersloot. She's running right past whoever's guarding her. There was no defense on her at all. Courtney Williams was pretty much held for the most part the first half. And then I guess the second half, she just blossomed and started doing whatever the hell she wanted to do. And there was no, I didn't think the defense on her was good as well. Phoebish on the New York Liberty says her specialty is defense and she loves shooting the three. But here's the thing with Phoebish defense. I personally don't think her defense is as good as she's saying that's her specialty. I haven't seen her lock anyone down as well. Maybe 2 games. I could say she's done that. And I can't remember which teams it was. But yeah, she's good as a decoy because she's tall. She's 6'4". She has the long arms. She can keep up. But Courtney Williams crossed her over a couple of times and went right past her. Because it looks like, from my view, it looks like Phoebish is moving too slow. Now, what I said to you that I think would be a good, I think it would be a hell of a switch up, a rotation, and an answer. And they're probably not going to do it. I wish I had
no,
Sandy Brondello's number to text her. I think they should start, excuse me, not start, but I think they should put Jayla Sherrod, aka Deuce McBride, little sister. She should be guarding Courtney Williams.
she's a pest.
She's a pest. She's fast. You don't, all you got to do is tell her, Jayla, we don't need you going all out of control crazy when you get on the offense. Just bring the ball up, pass it to Stewie, pass it to Sabrina, make this. She's capable. If you, as a coach, if you get her in, you tell her that. But that's the kind of defender you need on Courtney Williams. You need a Jayla Sherrod on her. You
Somebody
need
who's
somebody
quick.
who's quick, who's fast, who could keep up with her, who's going to annoy her and rattle her.
Yep.
Because Phoebish is not the answer. Courtney Vandersloot is not the answer. Okay, we're talking about defense right now. You need Jayla Sherrod on her. And then I think at times, if you're gonna go for a sub for Jonquel Jones, I don't know if you go with Niara Sabali or if you go with Kennedy Burke, because I feel like out of the two, you have to play better defense against Nafisa Collier. Jonquel Jones, I thought she played pretty good defense on her at the end. Here's the thing that would happen too was that we would get in the mismatch. Excuse me, Minnesota was getting the mismatch that they
Yeah.
wanted, where Jonquel was ending up on Courtney Williams. That's exactly what they wanted. They got exactly what they wanted from New York Liberty at the end of the game. But at times, Jonquel was on Nafisa, whereas really it was supposed to be Brianna Stewart on Nafisa, which I thought Stewie did a pretty good job on her. But I thought Jonquel Jones did a pretty good job on Nafisa Collier for the most part when she was guarded. It was just better offense.
Yeah.
Nafisa's footwork is excellent. It's upper echelon in the league, up there with Asia Wilson. You know what I mean? It's very good footwork. But I think if you're gonna have the substitutes come in, whether that's Kennedy Burke or Niara Sabali, you have to play better defense and you have to like be up on Nafisa. I don't, and that was my issue at times when we was playing the aces. Sometimes like Kennedy was like a little too, there was too much space on Asia Wilson. You got to get up on that girl. And I thought Nafisa, we held her because also she was off. She had a good game, but it was a quiet good game. And then you had Kayla McBride, who I was like knocking down the threes, and I didn't feel like the defense on her was that great either. And not to mention, the Liberty didn't capitalize. You had Elena Smith with fouls, Bridget Carlton with 3 fouls. Why are we not capitalizing and getting Minnesota players in foul trouble? Second half of the game, if you ask me, I didn't feel like Sabrina got enough touches. I didn't feel like Phoebish got enough touches. And for crying out loud, another reminiscence of the Knicks. Brianna Stewart pulled the Jalen Brunson, was trying to play hero. You're off.
Yeah.
Release the ball, girl. You got 4 other players on the
Well,
floor with you.
well, let me just interject. Well, first of all, we're talking about like what the Liberty can do, and these are the things that they can do and what they didn't do. But you gotta salute and hats off to the Lynx. Like they were in sync. They knew who was going to take that last shot, who was going to take what shot. So you got to break down the links, because this is now when you break this down. So now this is where the Liberty fell short, and this is what they need to do for game 2 today. Their guards, Williams and Heidemann, they were you got to limit their guards. And like you said, Heidemann, she came in, she's like a Jayla Sherrod, and Jayla Sherrod can be like a Jayla Sherrod's like a Courtney Williams. So this is
Exactly.
why that matchup has to take place.
I
Otherwise,
agree.
I don't see them. Yeah, they could win, but I think if you throw them a different look, because that's what the links did. So again, that you got to break down what they did right, because they did a lot of things right. They didn't panic. So
No,
like you got to limit their guards and their dribble penetration, and that's what the links did. Boom, their guards was in sync. Like they again the links, they didn't panic. Like they outscored the Liberty. It's like they was like, okay, we know that they're gonna run out against they like, and they got comfortable. So now the Lynx capitalized off of the Liberties, I guess, lack of defense in those that second, third, and so forth, those quarters. They were playing Lynx basketball, like just the ball movement with the Lynx. If you know, it's like their ball, it's like somebody everybody got a touch. And Nafisa, she just turned into this 7-foot block monster. So like they capitalized off of the Liberty's mistakes. And just like how they were playing. They wanted it more. Like, and they were stunned themselves that they won that game. So it's like, because they didn't panic, they didn't give up, they kept playing Lynx basketball and said, okay, we're gonna get this. And to me, they wanted more because the Liberty, but for whatever way reason, they faltered, they choked when it mattered. Um, they took their foot off the gas, the Liberty, and the Lynx saw that. So it's like what the Lynx did, to get this win. Like it's hats off for them. They were doubling Sabrina. She as not Sabrina, Stewie at some point, let alone Nafisa's defense on her, but they was throwing a second, defender at her. So now that forces Stewie to take these shots that she normally don't take. Stewie, she was 6 for 21. That's you're not gonna win if your star player is 6 for 21. So they were throwing those second defenders at Stewie. So now it forces her to take these unorthodox shots or these shots that she normally wouldn't take. So you got to give it to the Lynx and what they did and how they were able to etch out that win. And Sabrina, she was 8 for 26. So combined, because John Crow did a job because in previous the Lynx shut John Crow down. When you look at those other games that
except for the
we
one win that we beat them.
because and they
Yeah,
beat them 4-1, including the Commissioner's Cup. And it's a good segue for what I'm gonna say next. But they're two stars. They were 14 for what's that, 47. That you're not gonna win. Impossible. So collectively, Jones had 24, Sabrina had 19, Stewie had 18, compared to their big three. 23 for Williams, 22 for McBride, 21 for Collier. So that right there, they outscored them. So my thing is that we want to say that the Liberty are the better team, and some people can argue, but my and the segue that I'm getting ready to go into, the Liberties beat the Aces 3-1 in the regular season, and they beat them in the finals. Some would say that they're the better team. Would you agree to a certain extent?
yeah.
Okay. So, but yet the Lynx beat the Liberty 4-1 in the regular season, including the Commissioner's Cup. So why aren't the Lynx the better team?
I don't think that it's necessary. First of all, here's the thing with the Lynx. The Lynx weren't predicted to be one of the teams to even make the playoffs this year because they stunk last season and only won, I think, like 19 games. So they weren't predicted to even make, forget the finals. They weren't even really predicted to make the playoffs. But I think a lot of what you're saying is true. And we talked about this. The Lynx they're a very disciplined team. They don't get rattled, they don't rush, they don't allow teams to make them slow down too much. They didn't panic throughout their game. They were playing chess. They were watching the score at the end of every quarter. They made their adjustments appropriately and played throughout the game. But I think that part of that was, yes, their big three outscored our big three Liberty players. But I think it was also just like a combination of Brianna Stewart and Sabrina was off.
Yeah.
I thought Sabrina, yes, was double teamed. Stewie was as well, but I thought Stewie was playing a little bit of selfish ball at times in the second half. And yeah, she was making unorthodox shots that she don't normally take and make. But like, okay, let's even go back to that last free throw where Stewie had another opportunity to win us the game. She went up to the basket and it was almost like she turned her wrist some kind of way because she was anticipating the foul. Here's the thing, and Jones does this a lot too. Why are you anticipating the foul? Just go up regularly how you would And if you get the foul, you get the foul. If you don't, you hustle back on defense.
Well, actually, if she would have won, if she would have hit that last second shot, the Liberty would have won.
Exactly.
Or,
But why did she turn her wrist like that? I don't know
like,
what she was doing. I don't know.
and
It was like, just she's so tall and her arms are so long. You could have just like put it right near the rim. It would have went in. I don't know what she was doing. And even you saw her get frustrated after she missed that. She missed the free throw. She made a face. I'm like,
or
it was like Brianna Stewart, like these little things that the mistakes is things that she don't normally do. So I was like, what? It was a combination of an off night, but they could have been redeemable had you would have made the second free throw, had you would have made that last layup. That last layup, we would have won the game. There was no time left. She had more than enough time to make that shot, that layup. And I saw some people on other podcasts, they said, oh, I thought she was going to do like a stop and pop. I'm glad she didn't do that. I'd rather her do the layup. So she made the right
the
decision,
backboard.
but she changed her wrist as she went up for the layup. I'm not sure why she did that. But like you were saying before, the Liberty did it to themselves. They put themselves in this predicament and in this hole. When you gave up an 18-point lead, you can't do that. You can't give up such a huge lead and allow a team to cut into the margin. And now you want to like try to speed up your game because now you're playing Minnesota Lynx way and not the Liberty way.
Yep.
And that's where the Liberty hurt themselves. You can't do that. And I don't know. I really hope that Sandy Brondello is able to make the adjustments and bring in Jayla Sherrod. I saw Damian Cox, salute to you. He said, I'm scared for the New York Liberty and Brondello should use the bench more. Jokic, David, Sherrod, and Burke need more minutes. I really don't think that they all need more minutes. This is the finals, and you have to keep your rotation short for a reason. If you notice, even the last series, Niara Sabali barely got minutes. You have to go with who you're, as a coach, with who you trust and who fits the matchup for that team. Now, I think there's a caveat asterisk next to that, and that I think that Courtney Williams and Leonie Feebish are not the answer for Courtney Vandersloot, excuse me, and Leonie Feebish is not the answer for Courtney Williams or Natisha Heidemann. You can have one of them, Courtney or Feebish, and I think you need the combination of Jayla Sherrod playing defense at the top of the key because you need her speed. And I hope that one of those assistant coaches on the Liberty is getting in Brondello's ear and saying maybe we should have her come in. And I get it that she's not a veteran player, and it's for the betterment of helping us win. It's not about who's a veteran, who's a star, who's a rookie, who it doesn't matter. It's about making the right adjustments to help us move further along in this series. And right now, not only is this game important that the Liberty must win, they have to win one in you have to win at least one in Minnesota. You can't win this one and then go to Minnesota and lose two. You're done. You have to win today's, and you have to win still one at least in Minnesota. But let me ask you, because based off of the title of this podcast, this is a two-part question. Can the Liberty handle the finals, or are they a team? No. Can the Liberty handle the finals? And for game one, did the Liberty collapse or did they choke?
I think it was collapse because choke. The shots they were going in and kind of, but I think it was just a total collapse. They for whatever as I that was my opener for whatever, and you said it too. They took their foot off the gas. So I think it was just a collapse. Um, because they did play defense in and out,
Yeah.
but you got to play 40 minutes.
Hmm.
So it was a total collapse, and again, they had 2.5 days to look at film and see what went wrong. And I know Sandy's going to make the adjustment, but this is an adjustment that she shouldn't have to have made
Yeah.
or need to be making at this juncture. This is it. Like, you can't, this is no do-overs. And,
Hmm.
fast forward to next year, yeah, we're going to get the best out of 7, but right now, this is the
It's the
best out
best
of
of the
5.
five,
So
right?
you got to play like this is your last game, but you can't panic though.
Right.
So it was a total collapse. Um, and for whatever reason, they just started playing up to the Lynx basketball. The Lynx reversed the course and got them to play their style. So I truly believe, in my opinion, it was a collapse.
But how do you feel about the Liberty being able to handle the finals? Because last year marked the fifth time that the Liberty as an organization had made the finals and they fell short and they haven't been able to complete it.
Well, Sandy's definitely going to make the adjustment today. I have no doubt, have all the confidence in her that she's going to make the adjustment today. And they definitely have to win today. And so I think if you see, and when they etch out the win, you gonna if you see that difference maker, and we will,
Hmm.
and I think they're gonna, definitely, and they know their backs is up against the wall. It's not the Lynx, it's the Liberties. Their back is up against the wall, so they know in their heart of hearts this is a must win and do or die. We're gonna take this, and then
Right.
now and you can't think too far ahead. So now you know that you got to definitely go into Minnesota and steal one of those, and so you could bring it back to the hell. If you could take game, if you could take on both of them, it's doable.
Agree.
It's who says it's not? It's doable. But
Yeah.
you again, you don't get too high, don't get too low. But take this game for now. See how she makes the adjustment. I know she will. And then now this is like a precursor to like what they're gonna do in Minnesota. So I mean, it's doable. And I have all the confidence. Like I said, Cindy, they're gonna look that team, them coaches. They didn't look at a lot of film, or they looked at a lot of film and see where was the breakdown. And you know, we got to get Stewie more open looks and X, Y, Z. Da, da, da. So they'll definitely break it down and digest it and make the adjustments.
Yeah, I'm trusting when you say that because when we played against a horrible game three against Vegas, and when we were going into game four, I remember we were on the podcast and you were talking about that. You was like, she's gonna make the adjustments because there was a collapse there. And again, before we started, I was listening to Sabrina Ionescu do an interview from yesterday's practice, and she was basically saying that she said, we're not panicking. She said they asked her about because she had 25 people of her people come into the game one from California, and she said, I'm very superstitious. She said, I make my husband, he hasn't been able to shave. She said, he has to wear the same clothes. She said, once basketball's over, then I get rid of that. She said, it's a rabbit hole. She said, you'll be here all day if I tell you about it. But she said, my husband is very positive. And she said, he told me after the game, she said, because I was down. She said, I didn't want to go out to dinner with my family. She said, I didn't want to, she said, but he was like, it was one game. He said, don't panic. He said, you're going to rebound. You guys are going to make the adjustments. He said, this is what you need to do. And you need to be ready and come full force. So, and then they asked her who on the team calls out what needs to be done. And she said, believe it or not, it's Kayla Thornton. She lets us know, like, y'all doing this, this is what we need to do. Or I saw this is what I'm noticing in the game. So that's good to hear that there's someone besides Brianna Stewart, or I even saw a video. I think you probably noticed it too when they do the we all we got, we all we need when John Paul they pushing her around. And I don't know, I think this is probably in the last game against uh the Vegas Aces, and they were doing it. And John Cole was like, no, no, no. She was like, stop. She said, yo, put some more energy into that. Y'all, I need y'all to be loud. And then they got loud and they got pumped up. She was like, there we go. Like, let's go. So I think that I agree with you that this Liberty team, first of all, the entire season, this Liberty team have never lost two games back to back. So if they lose one, they've done an excellent job at making sure they win the next game and they rebound back. This Liberty team also is a good road team, as they play very well on the road just as well as they do at home, unfortunately. And that's what makes it hurts too. You have all these fans there. It's a sold out arena at Barclays. People were stressed out when they left. Headaches. People were very stressed. At this rate, you need to get packs of ashwagandha out too, because the Liberty will have your blood pressure high. I'm telling you, they remind me of the Knicks. They have you at the edge of your seat. I just think that first game, there was too many mistakes, starting with the defense. And then also, like, I'm not sure why Sabrina fouled Courtney Williams on that three.
Oh man.
We get on Jonquel Jones for doing stupid crap like that, but why would you foul her? Why? And
Yeah.
I watched her do an interview, and she said I shouldn't have fouled her. She said, I don't know why I fouled her. We don't know why either. Why did you foul her? And then you fouled her. She made it, and then she makes the free throw. I said, why would you do that? That's what I mean, like the decision making when it comes to things like that. You can't do that. You can't be fouling a team like Minnesota, who's an excellent 3-point shooting team. And that was one of the keys that I talked about that they have to watch out for, is that once one of them starts hitting a three, it all of a sudden it trickles to the next player. Now they all start knocking down threes, and then they can't stop. And they kind of got lucky that Elena Smith and the other young lady, what's her name with the C?
What's her name? Bridget
Carlton. They're
Carlton.
lucky that those two didn't start lighting it up.
Yeah, because they can.
But the Liberty also, here's the thing too, like if they're smart, you would get Minnesota players in foul trouble. How you get them in foul trouble is you got to attack the paint. They have no answer for Jonquel. I'm not sure why we're not playing the high-low game and getting Jonquel the ball for the easy layup. Also, another thing that would work, but the right person has to be at the perimeter, is if you have Stewie and Sabrina push and Courtney push the ball inside the paint and then kick it out. Leonie Fiba should hit the three.
Yeah.
She missed maybe three good ones, clear ones, but that's a rarity. Her 3-point shooting is still very high. Her percentage is very high.
Yeah, she was 5 for 9. So hey.
We was doing that, but we was kicking it to Courtney Vandersloot. No. That's the wrong person you give it to, not her.
No.
To Fee, but you gotta get it to Sabrina. Those are the people. I don't even want to see Brianna Stewart knocking down threes. Her threes have been off this entire season, and she's still shooting them. Listen, they're not falling down. Don't shoot those. And Stewie has to allow the game to come to her. She was trying to be some kind of hero, and we didn't need that. It was actually hurting us more than it was helping us. Now, she did make a nice play at the end of overtime when she got that nice block. We was able to get the ball down the other end of the floor. And quite honestly, the Liberty got lucky, because remember in the overtime when that ball was between Stewie and Courtney, and they ended up doing a jump ball. But Courtney Williams is smart. She purposely caused a lane violation on the jump ball so that the Liberty wouldn't be able to just get the play that they wanted. They would have to go and take it out. She wanted them to reset instead of being in play. So this is what I mean, like basketball, having high basketball IQ, making the smart decisions and the right plays at the right time. And Courtney Williams is a veteran player. She's been on a few teams in the league. She's finally found a home in Minnesota. Cheryl Reeves trusts her. She says, I've heard Cheryl say, I can say whatever I want to her. She receives it. And during those stupid coach live game interviews, which I think they need to move away from that because a lot of the coaches can't even hear whoever's asking them questions during the game. It's just
They don't
silly.
do it in the
Stop,
NBA.
stop doing that. Move away from that. The coaches are like, they're trying to hear, they're trying to watch the game, and they're into what's happening in the game. It's distracting too for the coach. Just get rid of that. Wait till it's the halftime, wait till after the game and then act, or a timeout, and then ask them a couple of questions. But anyways, they asked Cheryl Reeve during the game, you know, what does she think so far? She said the Liberty came out swinging. She said we weren't expecting them to come out this aggressive. So that proves Minnesota was sleeping on y'all, but then y'all let y'all foot off the gas. You can't do that. You can't start off strong and then fade away in the third. You come out from the halftime and now you're starting to lose gas and lose energy. And I don't even think it's so much for me personally. I don't feel like the Liberty looked tired. I just felt like they moved away from what was working. How many times did we see on the offense the ball was going nowhere? At one point, there was like 3 Liberty players caught on one side of the basket. It was Benijah Laney. I want to say it was Sabrina, and it was someone else. And I was like, oh my gosh, why are 3 of you standing on one side? And like, but Benijah was trying to get around, and it wasn't because the defense was so like move. It's too many people in one spot.
Yeah, you like clogging it. Yeah.
Yeah, you're clogging it up. But there was so many times we saw where I don't care if it was Courtney had the ball at the point, if it was Stewie had the ball, Sabrina, the ball will go to the left. Whoever had it at the left was dribbling it a little bit. Then they passed it back at the top of the key. Whoever had it at the top of the key, they passed it to the right now. Then whoever had it at the right, they maybe did this fake pass to see if they tried to see if they could get it to John Quell. Then they passed it back to the top. And I was like, so you mean to tell me no one has an answer to get to the basket or to score against Minnesota? Again, Minnesota wasn't doing anything special.
No, they wasn't.
Their defense wasn't like this, like, oh my gosh, the Liberty. If anything, the Liberty did that to Minnesota more throughout game one, where they were like, they had nowhere to go. But I was like, that's another adjustment I feel like they really have to work on and do. You have to figure out a way to get to the basket, get an open, clean look to score, to get a shot off as well. But I think one of the things too is that when you get the ball to John Cole sometimes, right? She's not as good as like Nafisa or Asia, where if they get the ball in the paint, they know how to dribble, bully their way to the basket, and then they can make their move. Jonquel does that well when she's able to turn around and she does that fadeaway and she can bank it or she can shoot it. She does that well.
Yeah.
The problem is sometimes when Jonquel has to dribble to get to the basket, she one takes too long. Two, sometimes it dribbles off her big foot or her knee. Or she does her famous, I'm gonna bring the ball down towards my hips or my knees, and now I allowed the double team to come near me. And then she's getting frustrated because she can't get the ball out, or she does one of her other famous specialties, the one-handed pass that is a silly throw, a silly pass. She did it one time in the game one of this
Oh
final,
yeah.
and we
Yeah.
both was like, "What the hell was that?"
She throws.
So yeah, that stupid pass that she does that could always 99% of the time get stolen. They have to figure out a way to capitalize on the mismatch. There was another time where I think it was Sabali was wide open and Stewie she was standing right next to Stewie. And Stewie seen her, I'm sure, on her peripheral and just didn't pass her the ball. Stewie somehow, I don't know. You know how sometimes you have those days where you like, yo, I'm not all the way there. Today's an off day for me. She was physically there, she was in it, but there was moments where she just mentally it was out the drain and flushed away. So I'm sure that's why I haven't seen much of Stewie doing these interviews, because she's probably like, yo, I gotta make up for the lousiness that I did. And I agree with you. I thought while the Liberty had what, four players, 18 to 24 points, John Paul leading in the scoring, I think
Hmm.
that they have to give a little bit more. You got to give a little bit more. Um, do you think that there needs to be an adjustment with who's bringing the ball up the floor either? Because if you notice, Courtney Vandersloot got a lot of playing time. I don't
Well,
think
yeah,
Sabrina should be bringing the ball up.
no, yeah, I still love the fact of Stewie bringing it up
Yeah,
because you know again, when Sabrina, they seems to trap us. And they know Stewie is that bigger, offensive player, and and she's capable, and she know what to do, if the trap comes. So I definitely, would stick with that. Um, I like what Courtney brings up because she pushes it. She doesn't give up a dribble too soon. She lets the offense set up. So I like her bringing it up. Um, yeah, I think they should definitely, go with those two as far as your primary ball handlers.
yeah,
Um, yeah, I'm fine with that.
yeah. I don't want to see Sabrina bringing the ball up, because it's exactly what you said. She stops on that side angle, and then she's doing this. Now she's trying to figure out who to throw the
In the
ball to.
trap.
And then she
Yeah.
does that stupid overhead pass that gets stolen because it's so predictable. And the thing is, too, with Sabrina, I think if you're going to drive as a basketball player, period, you have to have some razzle dazzle when you drive. It don't have to be super fancy, but you can't do a basic drive. Because what happens is players like Nafisa, that's why she was able to have a block party. She's just gonna block you because she could see what you're doing. She's like, oh, she's just gonna go up like that. Okay, I'm just gonna block her. You can't do that. You have to have either a spin move. You gotta like be able to, do something differently. Switch your hand, because when you just go up and it's regular degular, the defender is gonna be like, all right, well, it's gonna be a block party. I'm gonna just block
And
you
wait,
because I can tell what move you're gonna make, and I'm gonna block you. So I think Sabrina needs to also don't focus too much on them threes, because we don't need those. And that goes for everybody on the Liberty. Stop shooting them all them stupid ass threes. We don't need those. Drive to the basket. Drive. Put the pressure on Minnesota to have to play defense on you, and not just playing defense on you on the perimeter. Figure out how to get to the basket. And at times you can play the kick out ball, and you could give it to Phoebish, and occasionally you could give it to Jonquil, because we know she's capable of knocking down the three. And don't allow this game to come down to the wire or another overtime. You can't afford that. But I just think that the ball movement has to be there as well.
oh, for
It
sure.
can't be one, maybe two passes, and then we're not really going nowhere, because then you're not making Minnesota work defensively. You're not making them work. And also, you can't mean to tell me that Connecticut was able to force a game 5 against Minnesota and you can't. They figured it out, because Connecticut figured out defensively how to defend them. That was one. That's why they was able to at least get 2 wins over them, because defensively they took them out of their game. And that's possible. We've seen it.
Yeah,
When
for
you could get
sure.
Minnesota rattled, they had nowhere to go if you can play them very well defensively.
As good as Nafisa is, and she's great. I
Yeah.
mean, and it shows her footwork. She's 6'1", but she's capable of blocking your shots because of her footwork and just the timing of it all. So like you any player, the best play can be taken out of their game. All plays can be stopped. whether it's, offensively, whether you can limit them in, just the assist, some, it's doable. Like you said, Connecticut forced a game 5, which, we don't want to come down to that. But if need be, yes, like you can take the best player out of his or her game. It's doable. There's no way in the feet six blocks she had in the game. That's like unacceptable. That means like she was anticipating, she was at the right spot at the right moment. So now these are the adjustments y'all have to make, because anytime a player has 6 blocks, which that one of those blocks when she had John Paul wrapped around, I mean, I'm like,
Where's the
huh?
foul? Yeah,
Yeah.
the referees, I still question them with a lot of things. Like there was a couple of plays that I was like, you don't see that? Or even the whistle was like slow. Like the ref was like looking at the other ref, like, but you're closer to the play. What are
And,
you looking at the other ref for?
and then they try to make it up at the last minute when the
Right.
last second when they gave stupid, like it's like they do these makeup like fouls. It's call it in the beginning, so it won't I mean, and I'm not blaming the ref. This is the
No,
Liberty's
right.
laws. But it's
Agreed.
like sometimes it's like their calls is like questionable. Like we like, I know y'all in the moment of the game, and but y'all have to be refs on the floor.
Right.
Somebody,
Exactly. Nobody ain't see that. Right.
yeah. So I mean, when this is the Liberty's laws, but you got, they just have to do better, as far as just getting over that hump, and stealing one in Minnesota, hell, stealing both of them, and just like, if you got to celebrate on their floor, so be it. Celebrate. That's what the Aces did with y'all last year. They
That's
celebrated that
exactly
y'all
what I
on
keep
your
thinking.
floor. So it's doable. You could take the best player out of his or her game. You just gotta just figure it out. Um, because in hindsight, Nafisa, she didn't go off. She was held pretty much. She had 21 points and six,
Yeah, but it was
blocks.
a
But
quiet game for her.
exactly.
Struggle, she was off because the defense was well played against her. And they
Exactly.
need to continue that for sure. Because I thought even technically Courtney Williams was held in the first half. Like the Liberty got away from what was working defensively and offensively. And the Lynx did a good job now not allowing the Liberty to run. And that's
Yeah,
what a Liberty is successful. Like you got to be able to get those transitional, fast pace baskets, and the Liberty weren't able to get those. And where you saw another reason why the Lynx was able, if you notice how they were able to get into back into the league, they had a lot of easy layups because there was like mismatches on the defense where they were losing the defender and then they got a quick pass down low and they were getting like a few of those. You saw where they had like quick layups, and those things can't happen. You can't lose players. And then, it was so bad that it was a rarity where Sandy had to use damn near all her timeouts. That's a
yeah.
rarity because Sandy always has timeouts left.
And at the end, she didn't have a timeout. Remember, they had like 7 seconds left on the clock. She used them more. So again, this is what the Lynx did. The Lynx did that. Not that wasn't because they were able to go on these mini runs, because we all know basketball is about runs. And at one point, they went on an 18-3 run in the fourth quarter. So it's like they, their timing was impeccable. So that's
Mhm.
what I'm saying. As much as we want to give the Lynx, you got to give them their props. Like it was timed so perfectly, and just about how they capitalize off the Liberties lack of defense, and then the offense wasn't flowing, so they went on their runs, and that's how they just outscored them those last 4 quarters, including that overtime. So that's what I'm saying. As much as we say what the Liberty did, well, let's give props to what the Lynx did, and that's how, and they didn't win by much. So it wasn't like, they just turned on the Jets and they knew at the right moment. And this is what the Liberty have to correct in game 2 today.
Yeah. Salute to Paris Jugger. Um, yeah, it was Sabrina's foul, but it was also Stewie missing that second free throw. That would have won us the game right there. Like
Yeah.
if you really rewind, we could have avoided the overtime if Stewie would have just hit the second free throw.
Yep.
Because that would have forced Minnesota to have to take a far 3-pointer, which I don't put it past anybody, because if you notice all these WNBA teams and practices, they practice those far half
Yeah.
court shots. And we saw a Teaspoon do it back in the day when she hit it against Houston. So I always say you got to play until the shot clock goes off, because that shot is capable for any player to be able to hit that shot. Maybe to look, Damian Cox said maybe the Liberty could sign Alicia Clark for next year. I don't like her for this team. No, and I say that because Alicia Clark is older, and I think, yeah, it's good to have veterans on this team, but I don't think she would fit in the direction of what this Liberty is trying to do. And I say that also because I feel like, I mean, yeah, maybe for her shooting, but I think they already have that with Phoebish. And that was the whole point of them bringing Phoebish over as well, not just for her height, but the fact that she could shoot the three. But I don't know. I think Alicia Clark, she would only be good for you offensively for the 3-pointers. Defensively, we already saw she couldn't even guard Brianna Stewart. She was like rolling on the floor every time she was guarding
Mhm.
her. She was getting knocked down and literally rolling over because she couldn't even keep up with her. She's
Yeah,
older, and
defensively. Yeah.
yeah, she wouldn't be good defensively. And you know, this Liberty team, like the Knicks team, I think the defense is something that has to get stronger, and they have to get better at. And they show it at times. They just have to stick to it. What up, Joe Curry? He said, I thought we started letting the Lynx back in a game when decided to start shooting threes instead of just hitting layups. Yeah. And that's one of my biggest issues. John Call Jones, a lot of times, she's standing at the top of the key like she's a guard. You don't really see Nafisa Collier too much at the top of the key. Occasionally you do. You see Asia at the top of the key as well, because they can knock down the three.
Hmm.
That's all well and good. I've seen so far in preseason, Carl Anthony Towns is at the top of the key as well. But I think at times, or if you're going to be at the top of the key, you need to be prepared to get the ball and make a strong move to the basket.
And not to cut you off, but Kalia, she don't rely on the three, and because she
No,
know that that's not her specialty, and not and that's not Jones' specialty either. So again, Jones is getting away from what, and the Liberty period, they got away from what was working. Like Kalia, she's not a high. She doesn't hit him at a high clip, so that's not her specialty. She doesn't sit at the top of the key because she know I'm better. I'm better down low, going for a little midi. I could do a layup. So that's her specialty. She works within the frame of what she's able to do, not doing too much as far as, I'm gonna hit the three. No, she's at the right position at the right time. And that's what she worked on. And that's what, again, the Liberty got away from what was working. So, yeah.
yeah, and that's why I say that is so frustrating, because I'm like, if you're on the coaching staff for the New York Liberty, why are you not telling John Quell, yo, I don't need you at the top of the key. I need you down closer to the basket. You ain't got to be camped out right underneath it, but I mean, damn, get a little further back from the free throw line. So this way, you could be prepared to catch the ball and go. She did a beautiful move. I don't remember who that was that she caught. Did you see when she did that hesitation move on Thursday and she caught? She almost pulled like a Nafisa with the footwork. And Rebecca Lobo was like, "Oh my gosh, that was beautiful." I'm like,
Mhm.
yeah, like that's what we need you to do. We need you to do that. I don't want you standing there and you chucking up that round three that she does, because she shoots it from the round. She rounds it over and then she shoots it. We don't need you to do that. We don't need no threes. The Liberty could beat Minnesota if they take it to the basket. If you go to the rim, hell, even Sabrina, you worked on that floater. It worked when she did it. She didn't do it much, but if you do that, you'll be a lot more successful. And the
Yeah.
thing is that the Liberty got to play smarter. Whoever's going to decide to maybe take the mid-range shot, maybe if you decide not to, if someone's cutting, which we've seen the Liberty do this plenty of times, sometimes you have Phoebish or you have Benijah, they're cutting. If somebody's standing there to take that mid-range shot, what they do, we've seen them pass it to the cutter and we got the easy layup. Like that's how you're gonna beat them. You're not gonna beat them with the swing around and letting all other four players touch it and then somebody shoots a three. That's not how you're gonna beat them. Because what they're gonna do is they're gonna grab the rebound and they're gonna go running down the other end of the floor. And how many times did we see them doing that? So
Yeah.
Jonquel Jones has to be, and not just Jonquel, Stewie as well. Stewie to me went away from shooting those shots that she practiced before every game. Those short mid-range shots. I also think Brianna Stewart needs to use the backboard a little bit more for some of those shots. Some of them were short. Did you see how they were barely grazing the rim? I'm like, what's are you tired? Y'all had
Well,
a
that,
long
that
break. You can't be tired.
yeah, that's why they shot horrible collectively between Stewie and Sabrina. They were 14 for 47. That you'll never win a game like that. And yeah, in Minnesota, their field goal percentage was 51% compared to the Liberties. Theirs was 38. Their 3 pointers was 41%, and the Liberties was 39. So they did shoot the better as far as the field goals and 3 pointers because they shot within the realm of their game. They didn't force it. And that's what the Liberty did. Sabrina was like 3 for 9 from the 3 point line. You're forcing it, sis. It's not if it's not falling, like you said, that Florida is something that you worked on. Like that's okay. Then if you worked on that, then utilize that. That's what you worked on.
Exactly.
Use it. Stewie was 2 for 6. You're not gonna win the games like that. So these are the adjustments that they definitely, will make. Do I want Sabrina shooting threes? Yes, but if it's not falling, then go back to what was working for you. So
Sabrina was asked, how do you get Brianna Stewart open more? And she jokingly said, oh, I would like to get open more. Here's the thing. I agree with you that Minnesota was double teaming, but Vegas was doing this as well to you. So this is nothing new. You didn't really have that and have to worry about that against Atlanta, but against Vegas, they were double teaming, right? The only difference is, like Sabrina said, was that in round one and in the semis, Atlanta and the Aces weren't switching, whereas Minnesota is.
yeah,
But I think that part of the reason why they're not open is because there's overcrowding, which Coach Sandy Brondello has spoke about, how the Liberty sometimes create too much crowding and there's not enough free flowing movement to allow players to get open. That's one. Two, I think going right to your point, you'll get open or somebody will get open when you switch it up and stop relying on those damn threes. You're shooting too many threes. And let's recap. Two out of those three threes that she made, what did they do? They hit every part of the rim and then went in. So they were lucky. They hit every part of the rim, the base part, the front, around the side, and then it went in. Both of them did that.
yeah,
They weren't her swish shots that she normally makes. So as a player, that's where the basketball IQ comes in place. If you're not knocking down your three, you have to resort to go, okay, well, let me hit them with this part of my game. They haven't seen this. Let me do this. And that's where Brianna Stewart, who's a champion, you have to go in and do that as well. I don't want to see you trying to knock just because you're open. And I get it in a game of basketball. A lot of times players or coaches will be like, yo, shoot it. You were open. But I'm not comfortable if you with Brianna Stewart knocking down threes and you haven't been knocking them down. I think that they have to do a better job at making sure you have plays where Sab and Phoebish are open so they can knock down the threes. Where they can just catch and shoot, not catch, dribble to create a little space and then shoot. Catch, shoot, knock down the three. That's where we'll be successful in that realm. But I don't know. I think that this series can be finished in four, but a lot of people are pushing it to five because the Liberty are the underdogs. The Liberty are the underdogs, period, because they have yet to win a championship. But the Liberty are also the underdogs because the Lynx have beat them 3-1 throughout the regular season. They beat them in a Commissioner's Cup. And this is why the question still stands. Are the Liberty, can the Liberty figure out a way to get past the finals and close it out? Or are they a team that's always going to either collapse or they just choke? And this can't continue to happen. They have to figure out a way how to beat this team. The semifinals round was a test. This is a challenge. This is even more challenging than the last round because you figured out how to beat the Aces. And going back to your point earlier, yeah, the Liberty had beat them 3-0 or however many times we beat the Aces. And in Minnesota, you've only beat them once. And again, that was just the regular season. That means nothing. But they are, to me, I still think they are the better team, but they're getting in their own way because you're not playing smarter. So adjustments, I think Jayla Sherrod should come in and guard either Natisha Heidemann or Courtney Williams. I hope. I hope Sandy, I really hope she makes that adjustment. I'm telling you, it's going to work. If you put her in that game, you need someone with the speed, the defensive presence, who's going to be a complete pest and annoyance to Courtney Williams and Natisha Heidemann. You switch her up. You have to focus more on getting the ball down in the paint to Jonquel and Brianna Stewart so we can get the easy in the paint baskets. And you have to figure out a way to get the ball more touches for Sabrina and Phoebish. And honestly, we said this the last game, but I think Benijah Laney Hamilton has to be a little bit more aggressive offensively. Like we need a little bit more from her, you know. And honestly, I think the defense could be better overall too. I thought Benijah's defense was decent, but it wasn't her greatest performance that we've seen. So
Yeah,
I know she's playing limited minutes, but I would like to see a little bit more from her as well. So I don't want to see Sabrina bringing up the ball. I want to see Stewie or Courtney Vandersloot bringing up the ball and more a stronger, heavy presence offensively in the paint for the Liberty is what's going to be needed for the remainder of this series because Minnesota's not going to be expecting that. And a strong 40 minutes of aggressive defense, not getting in foul trouble, not letting your foot up off Minnesota's necks. Like, don't get comfortable. Don't let up. Don't tighten up. And we'll see what happens at 3 o'clock when the Liberty face them.
yeah, I agree. Like how they can respond, definitely. Your number one key is don't panic. It's one game. That's the pass. Just redeem yourself a game two and going forward. Definitely, like they definitely have to play a solid 40 minutes of defense. You can't have these collapse. You're not gonna get no win. You're not gonna win. Um, they definitely got to take better high quality shots because 14 for 47 from your two top tier players is just that's definitely not going to win
Yeah.
you many games or a game two. They gotta limit their links their guards and the guard penetration. Like you got to find a way to like again. You're not going to stop them or only so much, because Courtney Williams is like, okay, she's pumped. And these are the moments that she played for and she lived for. So she's gonna get hers regardless, but she could be stopped. Um, you definitely gotta free up Stewie. Sandy has to figure it out, like, okay, how can we get Stewie open so she could take, better high quality shots? Because at one point, she was seeing double defenders. So You gotta, not Sandy definitely make that adjustment. Um, be definitely more aggressive, on the defensive end. Like you, yeah. Look, Collier was acquired 21 points. The same thing with McBride, but together as those big three, they scored 60 something points like that. That's just not like acceptable. See, so these are the things that like they have to do. A defense. I can't stress that enough. Like that first quarter was ran like a well-oiled machine.
Mhm.
And so you got to do it for quarter two, three, and four, and this game is yours. And you're gonna definitely go back to Minnesota and play that same style. Like play Liberty basketball, and that's what's gonna win you that game. Like don't play Minnesota's game. They were shocked they won. I mean, when you saw at
Yeah,
the end,
they were.
have no shock factors. Just win the game.
Exactly.
It's sometimes games they're not always one. Pretty they ugly games, but let this be a pretty game where y'all could just get that lead and maintain it.
Mhm.
John Paul definitely has to play game two like how she played game one.
Mhm.
I mean, she did a job, but collectively, this was a team loss, not no individual loss. And this game is for y'all to take. Game one was for y'all to take, but for whatever y'all had that collapse, rectified, and make those adjustments, and y'all definitely, it's game two, and you could take it back to Minnesota and still one or two, and it's doable.
Yeah. I think Brianna Stewart definitely has to be aggressive though. Like
Oh, for sure.
you're a champion, you're an MVP. You have to figure out and impose your will and make because one thing about her, she does an excellent job of getting fouled. So you have to be aggressive to get to the basket. You're gonna get the foul. And
Exactly.
that's how you also stop the clock and keep putting more points on the board, even if you are in the lead. But she has to be more aggressive. And I think collectively, offensively, the Liberty can't be so passive. I heard Rebecca Lobo say that throughout the game. She said the Liberty have become so passive. There was this like indecisiveness amongst the players. Like
Yeah.
nobody was like trying to be aggressive. And then finally, John Quell in the overtime was like, well, damn, somebody got to do something. But like that can't happen. Like even throughout the four quarters, like don't rely on just Sabrina to get the basket. Brianna, John Quell, like this is why I say, you got to get something from Phoebish, from Courtney, from Benijah. If Kennedy, Burke, Kayla Thornton come in, like y'all got to contribute as well. It's not just offensively, but defensively, like make something happen. Because when your decoys and the bench players come in and make something happen, it'll throw a team off as well because they're not expecting that. So I think the Liberty collectively just have to be more aggressive. Like this throwing the ball side to side and nothing's happening, that's not gonna work. You're just shooting. You now the shot clock is going down to 3, 2, 1, and now you caused a turnover. You wasted a possession. So they have to make the adjustments, like you said, but they have to be a lot more aggressively forward offensively. Like that's going to be so key for this team to be successful. For this team, Damian Cox said Alicia Clark could provide defense. What about she couldn't even guard Brianna Stewart? So if you can't guard her, then I'm questioning your defense. What about Rebecca Gardner? I thought Rebecca Gardner was on this team already. Would
She
you
no,
mind?
she was playing for Chicago, I think, last.
Oh, I thought we had her, but she just wasn't.
Yeah, we did at one point. She played for the Liberty, but
Would you want Maureen Johannes to return next year? I don't know. I think Maureen would be a good player to bring back. Actually, no. Maureen is still a Liberty player. She's still signed with the New York Liberty. They still have the rights to her. But Maureen Johannes and Han Su decided to play overseas, I think, to fulfill whatever contracts they have overseas. And plus, they're getting paid more money. But Marine Johannes, I don't know. I think that she would be a good fit here. She's a crowd favorite. I noticed whenever they did any social media footage or interviews with Marine, her videos got the most views, believe it or not, compared to Stewie or Sab's videos. So she's loved, and I know a lot of fans were like disappointed that they didn't see her this season, but it wasn't necessarily a New York Liberty decision. It was players having their own obligations of their teams that they play for overseas. And that was the whole reason and why the Liberty went and got Kennedy Burke, um, Doikage, and they got Phoebish to come over to fulfill, their two spots to bring some other players here. And that's why they was able to eventually sign Jayla Sherrod, who proved, that's why I said she reminded me of Deuce McBride. She was getting a couple of sprinkle minutes here and there, remember? And she was
Yeah,
proving why
yeah.
she should be signed to the team. They signed her to a 10-day contract. And Sandy said, okay, I'll throw you in when we was up by 20 and 15 in the game and a couple of minutes left. And she was coming in and I was like, wow, look at how she's hustling. She wasn't just coming down, I'm going to bring the ball. She was hustling on the defense. She was like, y'all, I'm getting
She's
signed to a
scrappy.
contract. She's scrappy. This is why she is the X factor for this series. If they can give her a shot, I'm telling you, she's going to be the unsung hero defensively. I can promise you. Jayla is always ready. She is Deuce ready. She's just like Deuce. She stay ready. She's analyzing the game. She's cheering her team on. Give her a chance, Sandy. Give her a chance. She can give you what you're looking for to stop Courtney Williams on the defensive end. She can give you what you're looking for to stop Natisha Heideman when she comes in. And I think that she's who you need to add a little spice, a little something different to throw Minnesota off. Because we've seen, how many times have we seen Jayla Sherrod steal the ball from players?
Yeah, yeah.
Her hands are so quick. They'll be bringing the ball up. They trying to do a crossover. She taps it and she starts running down the floor. She grabs it and she gets a quick layup. And I'm like, wow. She'll dive into the crowd 5 rows in to save a ball. Like her hustle, her grit, her passion for the game, the way she's so freaking, who her quickness reminds me of? Kennedy Carter from the Chicago Sky. Fast.
Mhm.
Fast. Try to catch up to me because you're not. I'm quicker than you. That's the kind of defender that we need out on the floor for these finals. I don't care that she's considered a rookie, that she's not a veteran. It's not about that. It's about what players and what adjustments and what plays we need to get the win, to get a championship. That's part of adjustments. That's part of adjustments. That's an adjustment I really think that this New York Liberty needs to make. And I really hope that the assistant coaches, as well as Coach Sandy Brondello, realizes that and they give her a shot. Because I really think that she can be a key factor to, and it's not me saying that I don't believe in Phoebish or Courtney Vandersloot, but what I'm saying is they don't have the speed like she does against a smaller Mighty Mouse twins of Heideman and Courtney Williams, who are very fast. Because Heideman, the way she was playing and the way Phoebish at times was guarding her, or Benijah, it reminded me of when Kelsey Plum just kept going around everybody. And the defender was playing on the side. You know how the defense is like on your hip, they're on your
Oh,
side
yeah.
of your body and not in front of you. And that's what kept happening with Kelsey Plum when we were playing the Aces. The defender was on the side of her, so she still was like, okay, I got the lane. I can go in and either stop and pop or I can just make the layup. And that's what Williams and Heideman on Minnesota kept doing. You can't play on the side of her. You have to get in front of her and cut the lane off from her to make her have to do something else. So we'll see. I think Teresa Witherspoon would be good on the assistant coaching if she doesn't mind taking a back seat maybe for a season. But listen, with the WNBA expanding, maybe she can find another position. There's still coaching jobs up in Atlanta. I don't think they fulfilled that position out in LA for the Sparks. So those are two teams who still haven't found a coach yet. The Valkyries just hired the she used to be the assistant on the Aces coach. She was also an assistant for one of the NBA teams as well. But so they found a coach, but that's two teams still in the Los Angeles Sparks and Atlanta Dream that need a coach. And then they're going to be bringing another team in 2026. And is it Portland, right? Portland, they're going to be bringing. And then the plan is to bring in more teams. They may bring the Miami team back. I think they should try to bring a team out in Boston. Maybe Denver would be a good area, to bring a team. So they're going to be expanding and bringing more teams, which is going to help as next season, the playoffs are going to be in a different format. Round one is going to be the best of three, which I think the round one, they need to just make it the best of five. I don't know why it's the best of three. But next year it still stands at the best of three. No, it's going to the best of five, right?
Yeah, yeah. The first round, right?
Okay, so it is. I thought it was the best of three for the first round, and then round two, the semi round is gonna be the best
Yeah,
of five.
correct. And
And then
then
the final is gonna be the best out of seven. So that is some changes that the WNBA are making for next season. So round one's gonna be the best of three. Round two, the semifinals round is gonna be the best out of five. And finally, we're getting the best out of seven for the finals for next year. So it'll make for a longer season, as well as the regular season for the WNBA is going up to a total of 44 games.
yeah, 44. Mhm.
So it'll make it for a longer season. They still will have the Commissioner's Cup, which is like the NBA's version of the in-season tournament. So they're making changes in the right direction. I think this new commissioner is a lot better than the last commissioner that the WNBA had. This lady, she definitely is a businesswoman. She comes from very high prestigious background of companies that she's been the head of, but I think that she understands what the league needs, and she's listening to the feedback of what fans and others are saying to her, like this is what they would like to see. So they're heading in the right direction nonetheless. But yeah, I hope Teaspoon finds a coaching job somewhere. I think the Liberty would be amazing, even though I know they're already fully staffed. I don't see Sandy going anywhere because she's helped change the direction of this team, kind of like how Tibbs have done with the Knicks. Um, so I don't know. I don't know. I think the Liberty are ready for the finals. I just think that they're in their own way. I
Yeah,
think
for
that they
sure.
have to make the adjustments. They have to want it more. They have to want it more. They have to be hungrier. They have to stay focused. A lot of people are counting them out, and that's okay. You have to change the narrative. You know what I mean? You have to change what people are saying, that you're known as a team that chokes, you're known as a team that's not ready, and they can do that. So we'll see. The game is coming on ABC. It's not on ESPN. This is the only finals game that's going to be on ABC. All the rest of the games will be back on ESPN. They come on at 3. The New York Knicks also play later today at 6. They are playing. Who are they playing?
Minnesota. Girl, yes, they play
Yeah,
Minnesota.
because
But
it's
we won't get
Minnesota.
to see Randall. He's not playing. So
Yeah, so this will be a nice day for basketball. Are there any Giants or Yankee Mets games? I'm not sure if they're playing today. I know both the Yankees and the Mets have moved on to the next round, so that's going to be interesting. Yeah, the Giants play later at 8:20, playing Cincinnati, who's only won one game, one less than the Giants, but the Giants should beat them. So yeah, it's going to be a good lineup of Sports Sunday. Um, and we'll be back Thursday, which I think the Liberty will be playing. Okay, so they play Wednesday. So they play today, and then they play again on Wednesday at 8 o'clock. So it's gonna be very interesting. Very interesting. You have the Liberty winning today, right?
Oh, for sure, definitely. I have them winning today, and then again Wednesday. We're gonna, let's just sweep them. They could do it. It's doable.
Yeah, agreed. Um, New York is very hungry for a basketball championship. We haven't had that in over what, 50 something years, 51
Yeah.
years.
Yep.
So we'll see what happens today. I'll be watching. I'll try to start off relaxed and not be as stressed. So we'll see what happens. I think if I don't project that kind of energy, it'll help. So as long as they play good, then I'll be good. So we'll see. But salute to the chat, Kareem Grant for joining us, Wonder Woman, AP, Damian Cox, King Ribby RM, Parish Duggar, Joe Curry, MBM, and some of you Lynx fans who I see in here who have no faith in a Liberty. Gotta love it. But this is what I mean. You have people who count you out as the underdogs. But until next time, everybody, have a great start to your week. Be safe, be blessed. And yeah, we out of here. Be good, everybody. Peace.